People are upset about all these reworks, but I think that they're missing the bigger picture. Let me show you why this is actually one of the best things to happen to Marvel Strike Force in years. Trust me, I hear what's going on in the community. There's a lot happening, and many of us may not have been playing the game when this was the style, when this used to be how we would make our own metas. There's a lot of content creators out there right now who are preying on your fear of missing out. Don't listen to that. Let me perhaps offer you a different viewpoint instead. For the first time in years, Marvel Strike Force is giving us real choice. Some of these rework characters that we talked about will help in certain game modes. If you're a fan of Alliance War, you can pivot that way. If you're a bigger fan of Crucible, you can pivot that way. If there's just one or two characters you like how they play, you can just use them. And if you don't want to do any of it, that's okay too. Again, this is real choice. It's not going to affect your overall progression. It's just going to add to the spice of life. Imagine dusting off a character you benched years ago and now suddenly they matter again. That's not power creep. That's just value, right? Many of us here are not comic book fans, right? I'm a big comic book fan, but I know that many here are not comic book fans. You're here because of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You came wanting to play with those characters, and many of them don't do anything. But imagine you got Shang-Chi. He used to be the man in this game. What if he was that again? What about Kate Bishop? Really good character. What if she was that again? We got tons of year left to go. I'm very, very curious to see what characters will be reworked in the future. This has gotten me excited. Who knows what we could be looking at? Hopefully, they will make some of those old school characters great again. If this trend continues, then perhaps the days of people being punished, so to speak, for liking the wrong character is over, right? Maybe that's something that's coming to an end. Granted, all characters can't be meta, but the more and more characters that are reworked, that they're able to contribute, at least in the modern game, that is nothing but good for the game. And again, it's flexible, meaning if you don't want to participate in it, you don't have to. And here's the part no one's talking about. What if the reworks aren't even really about the numbers? What if they're about giving you permission to experiment and simply just have fun while you're playing the game? You know what I'm saying? Let's go into the game. Let me show you what I mean. Just think about a couple of the characters that they mentioned for reworks. For example, Black Widow as part of the Infestation team. Now I get it, Infestation is an Alliance War defense team and maybe you don't have interest in that. But this character by herself has been doing wonders. She's done wonders in the past for the game. In fact, there was a time when we said that this was the most important character in the game. Now why? Why did we say that? Let's go ahead and look at her passive ability. Gain 15% speed. This is applied after any character has taken an action. Now, I'm already speaking out of turn. This speed boost, right? She's gonna get an additional 15%, but let me show you something. This is where I should have went to first. Her speed stat is 155. She is the fastest character in the game, period. So unless there's something going on that's going to change the speed, she goes first. Meaning, you know who's going first, you know what abilities you can use, you know what stuff you have at your disposal. So once again, after someone goes, she gets a 15% speed boost, right? So it's very possible that she could go almost twice in a row, right? Not quite as fast as Kahori, but there's times, man, when she can go almost twice in a row at the very least. She can lap other characters. Now, what's the advantage of doing that? Well, we see down here, Infestation, right? Allies get assist now. So what do you say? Well, Scorpion is going to have that Infestation tag. So perhaps just her and Scorpion together on some other type of makeshift team, she's automatically going to have that individual assist. That might be useful. We don't know. I'm not saying build her up just to find out, but we could play around with that and see what happens, right? Since we're going first, what's going to happen? Well, we use our special ability because that's coming right out of the gate, Camouflage Tech. What is that going to do? She's going to be in stealth. She's going to clear all her negative effects, and then she's going to apply speed up for 2 turns to herself and these other individuals, including Infestation allies. So again, Scorpion is going to get speed up for 2 turns guaranteed. In addition to that, Avenger characters. Avenger characters. Speed up for 2 turns automatically out of the gate. Will that change the turn order of certain other characters? Maybe not a ready-made team, but perhaps a makeshift team somebody are just using for this, that, and the other. Could that affect the turn order? I think so, right? 60% chance to apply speed up to everybody. So even if they don't have that tag, it's a roll of the dice, 60% chance that everybody on the team gets speed up. Now, we used to use her also just for this. She's going to be in stealth, right? We used to use her just for this. She's going to be in stealth and copy and clear all positive effects, including taunt, on the primary target and put that on her, clear into self. So again, if you can get her to assist, she's clearing positive effects. If you're going to go first or second, right, very quickly in rapid succession, maybe she's going to go third, you can remove somebody's positive effects that they just put up. Again, I'm not saying build a character, but again, these are things that you just want to goof off with, play around with. You don't have to build them. Just goof off with them in Blitz and Alliance War, practice, and see if that's something viable for you to do. If it is something viable for you to do, if you like how it works, then you go ahead and power the character up, knowing that they have modern stats and aren't just going to get bumped out of the picture. Widow's Bite, it's a stun. She's going to chain and put bleeds on people. So again, she's missing some ability energy there, but if you give her the ability energy, she can go relatively quickly and stun people. Now, who was she going to help? It says she was going to help Avengers. So just check out who's in front of us right now, right? 2 speed for 2 turns, speed up for 2 turns. Okay, so if we took Hercules there, Jean Grey, Storm, and Falcon, speed up for 2 turns, because that alter the way things go. If Falcon gets to his move quicker and speeds up the rest of the team, that's great. Is that going to work? I don't know, but it's something we can play around with, and if you find that it works, why not use it? War Machine and the Thing, both of them in many cases are getting dropped from their team. Could they perhaps go on another team that we just make up, use the Black Widow to try to get them into their turns faster to make things happen? Is that viable? I have no idea. But again, this is the kind of stuff you just want to think about. You don't have to do it. You don't have to commit to it. You just want to play with it and see if it works. And if it does, you go with it. The rest of these characters, they're not doing so hot. But what if Squirrel Girl comes back in the meta again? She was good. If she gets an update at some point, she's a problem. Kate Bishop is a problem, right? Very strong characters. Very strong. If you weren't around when they were good, right? Who knows what could happen? They one day could be great again. One of the other characters we want to talk about is Yo-Yo. She's going to get an update with the new the Secret Warriors team with the Headless Horseman, whoever he is. He's not my guy, but you know, maybe we'll power up Yo-Yo. Maybe her speed stat is 140, so she is the second fastest character in the game. So again, unless something else is going on, it's manipulating speed, and Black Widow's not there, Yo-Yo is going first. So again, the advantage is you know who's going first, meaning you know what's going to happen next. Her passive is Swift Protector. Now maybe we're not familiar with the character. On enemy turn, if the character has no other protector allies, right, there's no other tanks, apply offense down to the enemy. Right? So essentially every enemy, if you don't have another tank on the team, gets offense down unless somehow they can stop that from happening. So they're just attacking into your team at 50% attack power across the board, right? It can't be dodged, it can be resisted, and right, if they have immunity or something like that, it's not going to work. But she used to be problematic, bro. She used to be problematic. She used to give us fits. She was a very, very good character. And so if she gets modern day stats, she might be a very good character again. One of the things we want you to notice is she's helping out inhuman allies. Okay. On turn, 50% chance to gain evade. She's giving defense up to inhuman allies. 50% chance for them to also gain evade, for her to gain evade and for them to gain evade. 50% chance. Yeah, I'm getting confused. She would have evade, it seemed, much of the time. Okay, and then she's able to put that on the inhuman ally as well. Okay, 15% dodge chance on her passive. If I put the T4 in, that's another 10%, right? So that would give her 25% dodge chance. And then we just look at her right here. She's got an inherent 15% dodge chance. So that's 40%. 40% chance to dodge, plus half the time she's going to get evades. She was a great character. We used to use her for a couple different things. Again, she's granting ability energy here to Inhumans with her ultimate ability. Her special is bonus attacks, repeat attacks. It didn't do a whole lot, but her basic here, her basic, gain an assist from a random Inhuman ally. Now that doesn't seem like a big deal, but let's go ahead and pick Inhumans. Who do we got there? Quake. Quake is one of the individuals that's getting an update. Medusa. Medusa hits really hard. She's a hard hitting character. And so what this ability does is Yo-Yo uses her basic, and that automatically would call, if you had another Inhuman ally on to do the attack. We used to just spam it with Black Bolt. We used to just do it with Black Bolt because he was one of the hardest hitting characters. He would clear positive effects. And if he got you in the red, right, he did his bonus attack. We used to go nuts with that. Now we have Medusa. She doesn't do anything else really on her basic attack. And I don't know if she's going to hit very hard, but it's just something to think about. I'd like to definitely experiment with that. Otherwise, we know that Quake is getting a rework, right? Quake is getting a rework. So just look at her basic. Attack primary and adjacent targets for damage. Apply slow to primary and adjacent targets for 2 turns. We don't know what the ISO attack is going to be like because she was back in the day. There was no ISO, right? It's all green. I don't even know why I got Raider or whatever on here, man. This was back in the day. She didn't have ISO back when she was a character. So I don't know if it's going to do all that. If it does, that's crazy, right? That's the kind of things that we want to keep in mind. That might be something that we can use. Looks like her ultimate or her passive isn't really going to be helpful. Her ultimate gives offense down to 5 enemies. That's an old text right there, man. It is what it is. There's a counterattack, breaks the chain. If Coulson or Yo-Yo is an ally, apply slow to the primary and secondary targets with her special ability here. That starts out at 3. She's also going to do this chain attack. Again, I don't know if that's going to be meta. I don't know if that's going to be game breaking, but it's just something to keep in mind. So there are a lot of characters that we talked about, that they talked about in the blog, that we can maybe use. Look at them if you want. There might be some things that we might find that can be useful, things that we can take advantage of, things that can help us get through bigger and stronger characters in this game. Think about reworked characters that have had lasting effect. Emma Frost is one of those characters, and she got reworked recently, so she's good again, right? We used to use her just for her passive ability, so it didn't matter if she got KO'd. You're working with a 4 versus 5 at that point, but it was just to change the turn order so you would have the advantage. And now that she's been reworked, she's good again. She can take that hit, right? Are there other characters? Please put them in the comments. If there's other characters you can think of that you used just because you used them, or maybe they got reworked in the past and you were like, yes, this character is viable, right? They were doing well at that time. Put them in the comments. Let people see what has happened in the past so we can give a better outlook on Marvel Strike Force in the future. One of the points I want to stress that, as we said, these things are optional, right? You don't have to build them. The Conquerors are what we're going to be using to go on the path to Blastar. And you see there at the bottom of the screen, it says Fantastic Four MCU and Hellfire Club, and 2 upcoming teams are part of the Conquerors, right? So right now we recognize that the Hellfire Club is the team that's coming out into the game right now that is new. The other team that has been identified as the Conquerors is the Insidious 6, right? The Insidious 6. So it's not going to be Infestation. It's not going to be the Secret Warriors. Those teams are optional if you want to build them. They're not going to stop you on your quest to get the strongest Blastar that you can. So let's push back on the fear of missing out for a minute. Push back on those, right? It's the internet, man. It's the internet. The content creators are just going to scream. They're going to whine. They're going to cry and tell you that Scopely is trying to somehow jam you up. That is not the case. They're bringing the game back to when it was, we used to lovingly call when I played a different game, superhero chess. They're trying to bring the game back to that part. At least that's my hope. That's my hope. All characters aren't going to be game breaking, but if they're usable, we can use them in various shapes and various forms and continue to have fun in this game. I'm telling you, man, let me know what character you would love to see reworked in the comments below, man. Let's let people know who our favorite characters are. Man, they're trying to bring the fun back again.